Of course you do. So this is super fun. You guys know about maybe 2.5 months ago, I started my podcast called Doggy Stoic, and I started creating YouTube content. And a few people have reached out. It was from a variety of questions. How did I get started? To you should have this or this or this guest on. To I want to start my dog training business. Could you share like some mistakes you made, some tips you have, and everything in between. So I've done a few of these calls, but I've wanted to start recording them because a lot of the questions are not necessarily identical, but they're similar, right? So Sheldon reached out maybe a few days ago. He's been following the content for a minute. And he was like, hey, if you're ever open to it, I'd love to hop on. I believe Sheldon volunteers at a shelter and he kind of wants to turn this into a business. And I was like, yeah, I would love to do this. So that's kind of the frame for the next hour. And Sheldon says, hey, I have a plan. So I'm looking forward to this. I enjoy these so much. I selfishly wish I would have had someone to kind of ask both the dog training questions and the dog business questions.
Yeah, I'm extremely thankful for your help today, Andrew. And um, I've watched a lot of YouTube content since I made the decision to go all in on my career change. And you're definitely, I think one of the most relatable in terms of the way I like to train dogs based on how I've trained my personal companion dog over the last couple months. And also, once I started looking into different business models in this industry, I think that there's potential for doing something pretty similar to what you have set up, which we can talk about. So I think I've watched almost all your podcasts, taken notes, and all of it's been extremely helpful. So I just wanted to say thank you, first of all. And so to introduce myself, I'm Sheldon. I think we're the same age, actually. I'm 36, and I worked in software for the last 15 years, working from home for the last 12, doing cybersecurity and also working in crypto for the last 5 years, and really was in like the highest levels of engineering, I would say, for the last 5, 6, 7 years maybe, and eventually just made the decision that I've been trying to line up everything to make my career change for some time, uh, and finally that has all come together. So I have relocated to Central Oregon, and here in Central Oregon, the biggest city is Bend. Have you heard of Bend, Oregon before?
Yeah, I believe it's the where Nike started, right? Like right in that area.
So I don't know if Nike started here. I used to live across the street from the Nike World Headquarters in Portland. I lived in Portland for 6, 7 years, back from like 2011 to 2018 or something like that. Um, but this
Sheldon, can I give you
Bend,
your first piece of homework?
yeah, yeah.
This is for anyone out there. I don't know if you like books on audio or reading, but I would say Shoe Dog is a top three book I've ever listened to and read, and it's a year by year breakdown of how Nike started, and it's both educational, but it's also like kind of aspirational. Like it's a really enjoyable read. Shoe Dog.
I appreciate that, and I've taken notes here. I got it. Um, so yeah, here in Central Oregon, Bend is has been crowned the dog city of America. Like, there's the highest per capita like dogs to people, I believe, around here, and rescue is a huge part of the culture here. Everywhere I go, I either meet rescue dogs or people with rescue dogs, and I started doing training my dog full time back in August, early August, and then also doing volunteer work part time. Um, and I spent a lot of time training Tama and meeting people, just getting a sense for what are the trainers like around here, where are people having issues, and I ultimately decided to consolidate to this one bedroom apartment to keep my runway as long as I can. And I'm in a place called Sisters, which is about 30 minutes outside of Bend. So Bend's like 105,000 people, and there's another city about a half hour away that's like 40, 50,000 people. And then here in Sisters, it's about 3,000, 4,000 people, but like maybe 10, 12,000 in like the surrounding rural area. This particular location, I describe it as like a schwanky cowboy town. Uh, the median home price is like, $800,000. I think it's a $900,000 in Bend. And once I started calling trainers to meet Tama, I started to realize like everyone's fully booked. A lot of them have multiple trainers on staff, and they're all like 150 an hour plus. So that's when I really.
What were the issues Tomo was having?
So Tama is a rescue dog. He's a Staffordshire Bull Terrier Blue Lacey mix. So that's like a cross between a bloodhound and a greyhound for people who aren't familiar with the breed. He was a boar hunting dog in Texas for the first 4 years of his life. I suspect just the type of dog that was like put in a kennel, they would starve him, and then they would release him in a pack to go hunt pigs. When he had been like taken in by animal control situations twice from two different owners, and when the rescue got him the time before I did, he was like not emaciated, but like pretty close, like starving, and he just had no idea what the world was like. He had no concept of the human world whatsoever when I got him. So this was 2 years ago, and working this very stressful and mentally depleting software job, I never really got into training him seriously until I got out of all that back in August. So I've been primarily doing desensitization training, bringing him to public places, going into all the shops, hanging out at the park, and because he wants to play with other dogs is like the main thing. He's always lived with other dogs. He doesn't right now, but he wants to go meet and greet other dogs, and he wants to play, but then he wants to like dominate, He'll jump on top, tackle, start muzzling the neck, that kind of thing. So I've been able to, through the desensitization and controlling his social interactions, and a little bit of basic obedience, like not much, honestly, he now can go with me anywhere. Everyone is like complimenting me constantly on how much they like him. He's extremely friendly with people. Like he loves people. He loves attention. I let everyone come up and pet him and meet him. For a while, I wasn't letting any other dogs meet him on leash, but in the last week or two, I've started to allow that again. He's been doing well in those situations. And so, yeah, it was primarily desensitization and playing tug with him is the training I've been doing with him.
Let's kick it off from your plan. So I understand the context. Tell me if this is right. So you got a dog, weren't able to train him for a minute. Then you started training him in August when your life lined up. You're really, really enjoying it. You called around to different trainers. You see that they're busy. You see that they're making money. You live in an affluent part of Oregon, and you're like, I kind of want to do this as well.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And in addition to that, I work with a small rescue that's a local here to Sisters. They have about 15 to 20 dogs right now, and it's just one volunteer who's there, living there full time with the dogs, and then I'm there training and playing with the dogs, and that kind of thing a couple days a week. And then in the last 2 weeks, I started taking on my first clients as well. So I have one and hopefully a second one that I'll be starting working with here in the next week or two.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a cool feeling, right?
It is. It's exciting. Yeah. Um, so I feel like I've been able to like work with some really good dogs out at this rescue. It was operated by this woman named Sharon Nelson, who was a very famous agility coach. She unfortunately passed away back in February, and one of the other people who was living there is taking care of the dogs, and they're all like very well trained, very well behaved, but they just need a lot. They need engagement, right? There's like 3 Malinois, 4 Malinois, 2 Dutch Shepherds, a German Shepherd, like a bunch of mixed German Shepherd type of dogs. Like a lot of these high drive dogs out there are the ones that I spend time with. So that's been really fun and exciting to work with these very trainable dogs because they literally just like they just love me. They just want attention. They'll do anything that I ask, you know, like they learn everything like the first time I ask them to do it. It's really crazy. So that's also been eye-opening because I've never really been around, you know, well-trained and like working style dogs that are just like super high drive and intelligence like that. It's been very eye-opening. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the full context. I know that's like a big long spiel here, but I think it's important to think about from the business side. So I have I was really curious about the way that your business model works because from my apartment here, the reason I chose this place is I'm less than a mile from National Park. Like I could hike to the top of the mountain way, you know, just like go take my dog off leash. I take Tama out there pretty much every day for like a good hour or two to allow him to just do his hunting. So he sniffs. And I've been able to establish off leash control over him. I don't know how to use an e-collar. I have no training on an e-collar. And he is that's what he lives for, right? Like I really made it a priority to give him fulfillment in his favorite activity. And I realized that if I'm going to be successful with other people's dogs, I need to be able to do that for them as well. So I was like, well, maybe I'll get rent some kind of like facility here, a little commercial spot with some treadmills and a play area, or I could do pack walks. I think that's kind of the decision that I'm going to be facing when I really launch my business for real here in the spring, is going that direction. And I think for now I want to keep it like just me. Like I don't want to.
Sheldon, you already launched your business. If you have a paying client, you've already launched your business.
Thank you.
But I want to jump in. I want to say the first thing. Like now that I've done this for 3 years, I'll tell you the thing that I've seen that separates successful, and I'm going to use successful like this, not from a financial statement, but like from like kind of seeing, do these people actually like what they do, or are they doing it to collect a paycheck? I think the most important question you have to ask is not just what does like your dog like to do, it's what do you like to do, right? Because I think people don't realize that any business you start is a long-term game. And you have to be kind of aligned with your own values, habits, and lifestyle. So the pack walk thing, how I began doing that was, yes, I saw that my dogs enjoyed it, but I would say I also equally enjoyed it. And like to use a dog training term, I was reinforced consistently through the process of going on the pack walk. So anything you do, any business you start, you're going to have to be in it for some duration of time, and that duration of time is unknown, right? Doing something that you thoroughly enjoy helps you from the very start to set yourself up for success. And you need to ask yourself is like, do I want to train dogs on treadmills and, you know, in fitness in a facility? Is that actually fun for me? Because right now, when you're excited about something, that's like the peak level of interest, right? We talked about the Dunning-Kruger effect a little bit on the podcast, but like basically you get peak excitement and then you have this valley of despair. And the only real thing that gets people through valleys of despair is actually having a passion, a true desire for what they're doing. So if like your favorite part of the day is going with Toma and going hiking, that will get you through even your worst days, because you're like, dude, even if no money's coming in, if this client's really tough, they're not listening, that dog's not doing well, I still really enjoy this process, and that will be fulfilling enough to get you through the tough days. So that's number one, no question. Like, you have to check that box.
I think that's really, there's a lot of wisdom in what you just said, Andrew, because that I went through that in my prior career. This, really trying to prove myself. I think first of all, when I started working full time when I was 22, and really establishing confidence in myself took like I would say 5 years before I was really understood that I was very good at my job. And then there was a lot of peaks and troughs throughout that career, a lot of really interesting projects, a lot of my work going to waste, a lot of failed startups, layoffs, like all this kinds of ups and downs. And I think ultimately why I had to get out of it was because I was just, there was no longer any way out of that valley of despair, so to speak. The work was no longer fulfilling for me personally. And it was, it was no longer in alignment with what I wanted my habits and daily routine to be, it, I really wanted to have the mental energy, not just the time, but the mental energy to train Tama properly and to give him the fulfillment that he needs, and then to do the things that I like to do as well. I originally moved here because I'm an athlete. My hobby is learning new sports, and so I figured this would be a good community to meet other athletes because it's a big resort town, basically. Bend's got the mountains and skiing and snowboarding, and people are on bikes, and there's good skate parks, and like that's what brought me here. And that's like that's a big priority, and I think the main reason why I decided to like all in on the career change rather than continuing where I
Sheldon,
was.
what's your sport of choice?
Honestly, so right now my favorite sport is skateboarding. I had a long run in strength sports. I did like pretty much everything. I did CrossFit, I did Olympic lifting, I did powerlifting, I did bodybuilding. Um, but uh, what I'm best at, I think, is probably snowboarding in terms of skill. But I started skateboarding not this year, but the year before, and I think that's my new favorite sport. Honestly, I love skateboarding.
Awesome.
Yeah. How about you? Are you an athlete? You have any fun, any sports you like to do?
Soccer was my first love.
Soccer. Okay.
Soccer was my first love. Boxing is probably my second love.
Boxing. I've
Yeah,
never
I
done
fooled
any
around with
fighting
basketball,
sports.
but I'm not made for the sport.
Yeah, sometimes you have to accept that. That's what happened to me in Olympic lifting and powerlifting is I really pushed it as hard as I could and realized genetic limits are like real. Like you reach a point where it's like, well, I've reached the end of the line and I'm I'm satisfied with that and it's time to learn something new.
Talk to me. So what do you need more help with? Do you need more help, do you think, with the business side, like setting up the business, getting leads, getting traction, marketing, sales? Do you need more help with kind of like how the pack walks became to be? Do you need more help with like kind of the offering and how what I say, like like a lead calls me, this is what I do, but I also tell them this is what I don't do. Where do you see kind of me fitting in and helping you?
So all of those things I could use help with, frankly, but I think that primarily at this point, just word of mouth, because I spend so time in town with my dog. Word of mouth, I'm going to be fully booked for the time being. I am preparing to work on the training without conflict certification, either starting in January or March. I haven't decided yet. So I know I'm going to be very busy with that, and like I feel like I'm just fully booked already at this point. Like honestly, because I just don't want to take too many dogs right now. I think that
Well, you have one
where
dog right now, Sheldon.
I have one, but I'm also most of my time I want to spend volunteering at still. That's I think that I want that to be my focus for like as long as I can. Um, but
For
also,
the for the reason to acquire skills is that like if you're just drawing that like chain, is it you want to volunteer so you could acquire skills so that when you get paying clients that you trust that you know what you're doing?
well, originally that's what I thought, right? Like I thought I would be able to go to one of the shelters or to this rescue, where I'm spending my time and really uh, develop skills. And that's true to a degree, but what I realized after a couple months of that was there's to deal with behavioral problems. Um, you have to work with dogs that have behavioral problems, and you have to be able to take the dogs that are like um, I don't have enough. I can't spend enough time with those dogs to really make progress like at that really deep level is kind of my impression, which is why I decided to get my first one or two clients here. Choosing dogs that have the same problems that Tama had, where I already know, hey, I can work through this. I'm not perfect at it. Like I'm not the fastest or the best, but I can see what the problem is with the dog, and I'm confident that I can work through that. And I think that's going to be better experience than going to the rescue and trying to, train 5 or 6 dogs for 20, 30 minutes, a couple days a week.
So real quick, bridge this gap for me because you said you want to still work at the rescue or you don't want to work at the rescue.
I do, yeah. Like I'm committed to helping rehome the dogs that are there, and they need the help, honestly. Like the dogs
Sure.
need engagement, and it's really important for me to be able to spend that time with them. And I think this also relates to uh, the business conversation side as well, because um, here in Central Oregon, as I mentioned, rescue and volunteering with dogs, fostering dogs, adopting dogs. This is a huge part of the culture here. And I want the business to be able to allow me to continue to be part of that culture and to support those kinds of animals. And I don't know what that looks like yet, um, but I know that has to be uh, part of what I take into consideration in my total workload. Whether that's, I have one foster dog at a time that I work with, or for the dogs that I'm working with at the rescue, maybe I'm available to do a couple follow up training sessions when someone adopts and do that as volunteer work, right? Like there's a lot of different options, but I'm realizing that, frankly, my rates with my clients need to be high enough that I still can
Sure.
take time to go do those activities.
Sheldon, let's say you get zero clients. What's your run rate? Like how long can you live off zero clients and spending whatever TWC costs?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. Like I have plenty of time. That's all I'll say. Like I have
12
plenty
months,
of time to
12
just
months, 24 months.
yeah, definitely.
So then you don't, this isn't a business then. Then this is like you're gaining experience and just do this as a passion project, right? And
I mean that is one way to think about it, but I really am feeling that like I want to get the business going. Like I want to establish cash flow as soon as I can. Like I don't see any reason to wait around to make it a business. Like I could just continue doing volunteer work full time for like another 6 months or longer. Um,
but you've
but
already established cash flow. You already have a paying client. We just gave each other a high five virtually.
Yeah, exactly. And I just I just don't see any reason not to have at least be starting that and doing a bit of that right now. That's my perspective on it. Like I really want
Well,
to.
do you want me to tell you what it would be?
Yeah, yeah,
So
definitely.
it's not like people think of like starting a business as like, okay, I get a paying client. But a better question that you would ask is, what is the client paying you for, right? Like, if I were to snap my finger 12 months from now, 24 months from now, what is Sheldon known for? Is he behavior modification? Is he the guy in Bend, Oregon that, takes dogs out on hikes, fulfills them, exercises them? Is he the fitness guy? Is he the obedience guy? What would you want to be known for? Because that's what I think about the business is how you position yourself long term. What do you want to be known for specifically? And that's not rhetorical. Like, what would you want to be known for 12 to 24 months from now?
I want to be able to handle extreme behavioral cases. I think
Behavior mod.
that's,
Behavior
yeah,
mod.
yeah. I really want to, I want to be able to work with dogs where other trainers have failed because
Awesome.
I talk to a lot of people
Yep.
that have had that happen around here, honestly.
Can I ask you a question? Will you be honest with me?
Absolutely.
Do you want to do that because that's true to you, or do you want to do that because that looks cool on the internet?
I think that's a good question.
I know.
Um,
And you're an adventure junkie. You like skateboarding. You like ollieing and then going on a rail and then going down like 30 stairs.
Maybe one day. Yeah, yeah. Right now, just
Yeah,
ollie on the pavement and try not to slam my face.
sure.
Um, I think that for me, it really is about the dogs and the people. Um, when I go to, like an outside bar where that's dog friendly, and people come up to my dog and they're all happy and excited, and I get talking to them like, what kind of dog do you have? And they're like, oh, I wish I could bring my dog here. I'm like, well, why is your dog at home? The reactivity and um, they feel unsafe and they're kind of trapped with their dog, right? Like, and I think that has the most impact for both the owners and the handlers and also the dogs themselves. Like being able to uh, rehabilitate a dog or however you want to put it so that it can just exist in human society and be a good pet dog and be safe and feeling confident and having a good time out in public, out running errands and just living with their human. I think that's the highest impact work that I could do, honestly. So, do I want this? Do I want to be famous on the internet for this? Like, I don't know. I I have I don't really know if I would want that or not.
I specifically asked, do you, because we as humans, we see how other people do things and we're like, we kind of want to do that, even if it might not be innate to who we are. So I don't know you, Sheldon. I've only known you for 30 minutes. I was asking, do you want to work with aggressive dogs because Sheldon truly wants to work with aggressive dogs? And Toma was an aggressive dog and you got that fulfillment from helping him out? Or is it something that you see like right now it's popular to use play and tug and different types of strategies like that to rehabilitate aggressive or reactive dogs? So you're like, hey, I kind of want to catch this wave. But what happens when everyone's on a wave? Eventually that wave crashes. It's done, right? So I just want you to be thoughtful before like kind of investing 12 to 24 months into something that might not be natural to you versus you say, hey, I really enjoy actually doing this. And you can build a business out of your own lane, Sheldon's lane, not someone else's lane.
That's a very good point, and I'm so new that I don't have that knowledge of kind of like the marketing cycles in the dog industry where certain things get trendy and they come and go. That I have just no context about whatsoever. For me, it's really I think that it is going to be the most rewarding work for the dogs, the owners, but also for myself because I'm a very intellectual guy, right? I did it. I really thrive in intellectual work. And I think that behavioral cases are the most intellectually challenging and require a very high level of awareness of the dog and the owner, being able to communicate with them and understand their perspective from moment to moment. That I have like a natural knack for. Like I really feel like I can maintain a strong, get a good sense of a dog's perspective, but also the owner. Um, and I also really enjoy the intellectual side of the behavioral stuff. So I think it really is about, it feels like the right fit for me and the way I want to do things, to answer your question.
Awesome. Okay, so you got Toma in August. You're going to start TWC in January. And Phil, correct me if I'm wrong with any of this. In the next 6 months, you kind of want to continue working at the shelters, kind of sharpen your knife, improve with working with these cases that other people can't handle. What was your goal or what was your outcome of jumping on here with me? What questions can I answer for you?
Well, what I've noticed, in fact, the very first thing that I noticed when I was starting to train Tama, was that his reactivity to other dogs when I was walking around on a leash, running errands, and just going around town. If I went to the dog park in the morning and he was able to get some social engagement, then that was just like gone for the day. Like he just the leash reactivity was completely gone, and then I think that I realized the business has to facilitate social interaction as like a core part of what I do every day with the dogs, and that
Super.
the pack walk is, I think, could be the foundation of the training methodology and also the business model, in terms of recurring revenue with my clients over time. But I have no idea how to do that. Like I said, I don't know how to use an e-collar. I would have no idea how to, I don't know how to introduce dogs very well, right? This is like all skills that I don't have that I would like to get help from you to learn those kinds of skills. And then
Let's
simultaneously,
pause. Let's
yeah,
pause right there. Okay.
yeah.
So this is how the pack walk started. I'll give you the crash course on introducing dogs, a little bit of behind the scenes of what I think people don't see. So the pack walk started with just one dog, right? So like we think a lot of times of like scale and like how do we get a pack walk to 20 dogs? Well, it actually goes 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, one at a time, right? So all you have to worry about is the next dog you introduce. So what I would think about is because that dog will teach you something, right? You'll get the experience. Uh, so the first dog I had was my little like Puerto Rican street dog named Lucky. So you are intellectual. You understand this. How do we solve an equation, right? We isolate a variable. Yes? You know what I mean? One variable. Two untrained dogs is two variables. No, no, no. One trained dog, one new dog is one variable. So if Toma is awesome, good in every situation, that's not a variable, right? That becomes a constant. So now we introduce one dog, and we do that on a slip lead and a long line. Forget your e-collar. TWC will teach you how to use e-collars. So now Toma's a constant, and you have a new dog. And you just take that dog, and you start walking up the mountain in Oregon with the new dog, the foster dog. Now, if that foster dog tries to eat Toma's face, you'd probably use your bodybuilding background and just not let him do that. You don't even need to train him in the beginning. A lot of times, these dogs are just cycling through crazy emotions, and they don't know how to interact, So I had a dog here who's an XL bully. For like the first 150 yards, he tried to eat every dog's face. Then for the next 500 yards, he tried to hump every dog. And then just by the end of the walk, he was tired and he slowly figured out how to interact. That's not every dog, but my pack was constant and I had one variable. So I only had to worry about him. And the way I did that was a slip lead, not a prong collar, none of that, just a slip lead because you could control a dog really easily on a slip lead, and a long leash. And what I would do is I would give the dog some freedom, not a lot of freedom, but a little bit of freedom to go and try to make choices. And when the dog overstepped its boundaries or even showed like a slightest sign of too much arousal, like maybe this could turn into aggression, I would just pull him back. I would just pull him back and I would send the other dogs away. I would say, go. Right. And the reason I could send the other dogs away was because they were already trained. They were constants. So the way I introduce dogs to the pack is I know my pack members and then I only add one dog at a time. That way I could start to integrate them safely. What you don't want to do is have two dogs and now you're in this unpredictable mess and you're going to get bit. You're going to get stressed. That stress is going to pour over to the dogs and it's going to be a shit show and no one has fun.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Andrew.
Second step of that,
appreciate that.
Second step is to teach or condition a negative reinforcement marker. So TWC will teach this. They're brilliant. But it's basically a concept of like, hey, I don't want to use this leash for eternity. Cut that out. Stop doing that. Wrong. Stop. Whatever one word you want to use, it's not a punishment word because I do want you to interact with the dog. I just don't want you to interact this way. So I use So like if the dog like tries to start humping another dog, in the beginning, I'm not layering on punishments or lighting them up on an e-collar. I'm just using the leash, a slip lead, and the concept of to cut that out.
Very interesting. Yeah, this is very helpful because it's tempting to it's hard for me. I don't know how to gauge where to cut things off. This was something I've been struggling with for the last couple of weeks is introducing a new dog to my boy Tama here. Like when the play gets too hard and the dog's starting to lose control, what is, how do I, at what point do I correct the dog and either
Forget to
redirect
correct
it
it
to
for
the
a
other
second.
team?
Watch my 4 Windows video, but forget me. Go subscribe to Jay Jax and the 4 Windows. What do we tell them? We tell them enough. And the new dog, of course, he won't know what enough is. He just joined the pack. But Toma needs to know what enough is. And enough should mean that Toma goes from having a blast to chilling out. And he needs to listen to it in high state of arousal. Like as excited as Toma is, if Sheldon tells him enough, he needs to settle down. And again, you know what negative reinforcement is or pressure?
Yes.
E-collar's pressure, the leash is pressure. Again, TWC will be great for you. There's a reason they're really good trainers. They'll go into like the actual concept of how to teach this. But J-Jack speaks about the windows, and that window of enough, it's like chill out. The play for right now is done. You could walk, you could lay down, you could sit, you could stare me in the eyes, you could come here and give me kisses. You could do whatever you want, but you go from really peak playing to chill out. Toma needs to do that because there's this concept that I see it, but now I've learned a word. It's called mimicking, I guess, or like monkey see, monkey do. Toma is as much a part of your training program, if you want to do it this way, as you are, right? So Toma has to set the example. He has to set the standard. So Sheldon, when he tells Toma enough, Toma needs to chill out. And now you hold the new dog accountable to that. But eventually the new dog will be right next to Toma and you'll tell the new dog and Toma enough and they'll settle down. So that's crucial. That's the bare minimum that has to happen. And you have to hold them to that standard before you could grow the pack.
That's very helpful, Andrew. So just to kind of summarize everything you just said, focusing on introducing one dog to the pack at a time. So for now, that's just me and Tama and, my first client dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then rather than using like a hard no, like this is over, stop it type of
Yep.
correction when the play gets a little too crazy or when the dog's misbehaving, using the something a little bit lower on the what I call the the escalation ladder, the or enough.
It's completely different. So it seems like it's lower because us humans think of everything in intensity, but it's different in the dog's brain. No, in a punishment, what are you punishing them for? I'm playing. I'm being a good dog. So why would I get a punishment? That's unclear. That's unfair to the dog. What we're saying is, hey, chill out right now. That's a completely different conversation than I guillotine your head with an e-collar. But you're like, dude, but Sheldon, 5 minutes ago you let me play. Now I'm in trouble. That's confusing.
I see. Yeah, I understand. Thank you for clarifying that, Andrew. And then I did see your Four Windows video. I'll be reviewing that, and I just started going through Jay Jack's Patreon. There's so much stuff in there. My favorite thing I found in there so far is like this PDF document that's going over the different types of desensitization techniques. That's been pretty interesting to kind of see like that there's terminology that is describing kind of what I was already doing with Tama, like putting exact words over the different ways, different techniques for desensitizing. But yeah, there's so much good stuff to go through with
Sheldon, the reverse of enough is true as well. So like enough, you settle down. Free means you could go play again. So the way that free or break or okay, the word doesn't matter, but like the way that I do it would be, okay, enough. Sheldon decided it's chill out time. We're still walking up this beautiful mountain, but you can't just like ballistically run like crazy. So enough. But then you get to a point where it's an open field, and I would like push Toma to the side or the new dog to the side and say free, and I would kind of run a little bit with them to show them, hey, now it is time to play. When you hear enough, it's time to chill out. When you hear free or okay, it's time to do something. Or ready is another one that they use when it's like playing. But the whole concept is, here's a word that means you could be up here. Here's a word that means you need to be down here. Neither of these are punishments. Neither of these are bad. These are just context cues of what we're doing right now.
This all makes a lot of sense. And a lot of this I am doing in like a less organized way, I guess you would say. One of the things like that one of the questions I have on this is the main question I have here, which is for a dog that is not going to, has been isolated for a long time. My client's dog, he was like, before I started training him last week, it was like search and destroy on the walk. Every dog pulling on the leash, going berserk. And I did 3 training sessions with him, just walking and doing some very minor desensitization along the walk, but just establishing.
When you say desensitization, you've said it a few times. What does that mean to you?
So what I do is I will get the dog like in a good state of mind, a good emotional state on the walk.
How?
Without any triggers. Just by giving the dog space to be relaxed and to do whatever it is that it wants to do. So I'll use like a flexi or a long line. I'll let the dog sniff and explore in nature. And then I will start to introduce some basic leash walking behavior. I like to use wait. If he's approaching the end of the flexi, I do wait, means stop, and I'm going to come catch up with you. And then I use let's go.
And leash pressure.
Behind.
Sheldon, and leash pressure, right? Wait, and then you use the leash pressure. Awesome. Great. So you already understand leash pressure.
Yeah, like I figured this all out with Tama. It's like
Yep.
he doesn't know what, this new dog, he doesn't know what wait means until I close the flexi and I stop and I say wait. And then we give it a couple tries. He's a smart dog and then he knows what wait means and I don't even have to close the flexi anymore, right? So once I have that kind of line of communication, we do wait and let's go. Um, or this way, if he's turning down one trail, 10, 15 feet ahead, like, let's go this way over here, that kind of stuff, getting him to be redirected in a way that it doesn't feel like he's being punished or like in
Yep.
obedience, right? Like, I want the dog to just like feel like he's out exploring and doing exactly what he wants to do. And then I'll look for an opportunity.
But he also needs to follow you and follow your lead.
Exactly. He
Cool.
needs to listen when I give a command, right?
So write this down. That's what's called getting a dog into pack drive.
Oh, that's getting the dog into pack drive.
Well, he's
Interesting.
following you. You're the pack leader in the scenario. Right. You're like, dude, you're not out here alone. We're out here together. And the way that we can be out here together is whatever rules you established, they're basic rules. You just have to listen to them. And I'm going to enforce them with leash pressure.
Very good. So once I've established that, like without any, I will just avoid anything that triggers the dog during that time. With this particular dog, he figured he's like smart and he liked me right away, right? So he just started doing that like on the first walk with him. And so then on the second walk, I establish that emotional state, and then I look for an opportunity to introduce the dog to one of his triggers in a space where it wasn't going to push him over the edge, into this total search and destroy mission, right? So, like, let's see maybe just seeing a squirrel from across the park, or a cat, or like a dog from like a long distance away, where he alerts, he's looking, and he's checking it out, and he's trying to decide, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go after it? Or, like, what do I do here? Like, he doesn't know. And then at that point, I'll stop and give him a chance to just process, just figure out what the hell's going on. And if he escalates, right? So, like, if he starts to pull on the lead and he's going for the dog, then that's when I will redirect with like first like a this way, and I'll continue the walk and just gentle, not a firm command, but just like this way, and then we keep walking, and hopefully that's good enough. If he's still not responding, then I'll redirect to a sit command, and have the dog sit, and then I will come up to him and stay with him and enforce the sit until whatever the trigger is passed, or until he's starting to calm down and just his attention's starting to go other places, and then I continue the walk. That's kind of the very early stages of like desensitization for a dog that's like just going crazy.
Well, Sheldon, you're calling this desensitization, but this is just reactivity. You're trying to fix reactivity.
Yeah, I suppose so. I don't really. I guess this is me being a noob, right? Like I don't really understand the difference. I'm fixing the reactivity, but I'm desensitizing him to the trigger, right? Which is
desensitization is the strategy you chose, but the overall issue in like dog training, they would call this a reactive dog.
Yeah.
It sees a trigger and it blows up towards the trigger, and the trigger could be a car, a bicycle, a squirrel, a rabbit, or another dog or a cat, but it's reactivity.
Yeah. So my question on this is like, with a new dog that I want to introduce to the pack, like, would you spend some time doing this with the dog first, establishing this before going on the pack walk and introducing him with other dogs? Or like at what point do you feel confident like it's time to bring the dog into the pack and get some socialization, some social skills going?
Well, dude, it's an art. So it goes reactivity, but then is the reactive dog also aggressive? So if you feel like this dog is a threat to Toma, I wouldn't, because I don't want Toma's face to get bit. But if I just think that this dog is reactive. And here's what I see most of the time with reactive dogs. They don't have clarity into where they are and where that dog is. They have no clarity in how they could get there. Okay. Does that make sense? So they're like, I kind of want to interact with that dog. I don't know the rules of this game, so I'm confused. And the only thing I know is this crazy mess of behavior. So this is the art of figuring out, is the dog reactive or reactive aggressive? But for me, what I typically do is I do what I told you is I know Tama is an awesome, calm dog. He's balanced. So if this dog is aggressive, Tama instinctually will give him space. And I will hold the end of the line and we're just going to go for a walk. I'm not even going to act like it's a big deal. Right? Like with most of the reactive dogs that come here, if you just like let them cycle through these crazy emotions and they're not provoked, a lot of them don't actually have true aggression. It's just reactivity that's manifested in these massive blow-ups. But if you know your dog, you know your dog's just going to be like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you acting like this? And your dog will keep walking up the hill off leash. I just keep walking with this reactive dog, and the reactivity in that scenario, not in all scenarios, but in that scenario, it just subsides. And what I try to actually do, like the end goal of reactivity, is to teach the dog that to interact with anything in the environment, it has to be calm and compliant. Calm, chill the F out, man. This is not how you behave. I want you to interact with the environment, in fact, and compliant. I'm going to ask you to do some things, and you do those things. And then when I feel that you're emotionally ready, I'll go let you interact with this dog and this person and then this thing and this thing. I'll go interact with the environment with you, but you have to be calm and you have to be compliant. So I don't just sit there with dogs and let them go off on triggers like on day 2. I introduce them to my pack. I know my pack. I know my dogs. They've already been what's called like rehabilitated, or Cesar Millan would call them balanced. And then I just introduce this dog and we just go for a walk in nature. The dog gets tired. And then my pack, my other dogs, they just become like kind of like mannequins. Sometimes this reactive dog will play with them. Sometimes the reactive dog didn't even want to interact with them in the first place, but they just kind of become like a part of the environment, so to speak, right? But sitting there and just staring at the trigger and letting that dog cycle that behavior over and over and over again with no game plan, I feel like that messes the dogs up even more. I would have a game plan. Like, what are you like? It's fine to do it once or twice. You're not going to mess the dog up. But sometimes I feel like these dog owners, they just like kind of like they walk through their neighborhood, they see dogs, they stop, they sit the dog next to them, and then they just stare at this trigger. And it doesn't change the dog's mindset on this trigger, right? It doesn't change how the dog feels about the trigger, and it also doesn't understand how it should properly interact with the trigger. Which, if you think about the underlying issue here, is the dog doesn't have any clarity into how to interact with that trigger, whatever the trigger may be. When can I go say hi? When can't I go say hi? Can I chase it? Can I bite it? You know, so like the dog has no clarity, and then we're just provoking the dog. And I don't do that.
This is extremely helpful, Andrew. And I think that, as you said, it's an art form of, in context of like the situation and the dog's emotional state in that moment, deciding how to like either apply more pressure or
no, Sheldon. I changed the emotional state. Number one, the first thing you can do is change the emotional state. The best way to change emotions is through exercise and play. Exercise and play. Exercise and play. I don't know if you've ever seen this. I mean, you've been in lifting. You understand, like, if you have a shitty day, but you go in and you get a great workout in, or you've had a shitty day and you go snowboarding, you know how there's this book called Flow, but like, I don't know if you know about the flow state. Like, it's extreme presence in the moment is kind of how I guess he would describe it. And like your problems go away when you're focused on what the activity you're doing. So the question is, how do you get your mind out of like the past or the future and get it to the present? And I found exercise or rigorous play are two of the best ways. So you could redirect that dog onto a toy and change its mind for sure, change its emotion. It won't solve the problem entirely, but it'll for sure be a start. But number one, fulfillment and emotional change. No questions asked.
I 100% agree with that. It's very much in alignment with what I've seen training Tama here. And I could ask you a million more detailed questions, but we're at the top of the hour now. Is there anything else like that you want to talk about before we wrap it up?
No, ask me one more. What you had a
One
plan?
more.
One more.
Well, I think so. Let me think about what I want to talk about for the last question here. Um, the
Can I'll give you one as you're thinking.
yeah, give me one.
You gotta understand it. I mean, this is for everyone. Dude, these are all words, theories, and tactics, but the best practice is experience. Like, if you really do something, you have to do it, and you have to do it all in. And the more you do it, the better you will get. And look, like I got it. The internet is crazy in the sense of like we fear failure so much, but we're gonna fail. The question isn't if we're gonna fail; it's how do we bounce back from failure. And do we bounce back and just like destroy these dogs and light them up and take out our insecurities on the dogs with pressure and punishment and e-collar? Or do we take a step back, say, hey, I was inadequate in this area. I messed up. I set this dog up for failure and the dog wasn't ready. And the dog only responded in the way that that dog could. And I need to be better. And the next opportunity I get, I will be better. And you take the learning. You don't live in the learning. You don't live in that moment of like, I messed up, but you learn from it. And then you say, you know what? Next one, I'm going to do a little bit better this time, Because, dude, you're only human. You're only human. And you're also dealing with an emotional creature. And you're dealing with an environment around that's unpredictable. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes. This whole shame game of like, e-collars, prong collars, only food, only toys. It's silly, man. None of us are perfect. None of us are perfect. Even the best trainers aren't perfect. And the reason they're the best is they'll admit that one, they make mistakes, but two, they're always learning from those mistakes. So the trainer I am now versus the trainer I was when I started, it's night and day. It's night and day. And I've been doing this for 3 years, 365 days a year. I haven't taken a vacation. I invite dogs here that have never paid me $1. I invite clients here to join with their families. I've had probably 500 dogs come through on these pack walks. Some pack walks were better. Some pack walks went worse. I try to evaluate what did I do poorly. My dogs make mistakes. It's okay. It really is okay to mess up, dude. You want to limit how much you mess up, and you don't want your mess ups to crucify you. Like, you don't want one of your dogs to be off leash too soon and go and kill another dog. That's a huge mess up. But if your dog, and this is why I keep new dogs on long lines and slip leads for a really long time, is because if that dog messes up a little bit, I have full control because I have a 30-foot leash and I have a slip lead where I could just take that dog and say, come on, dude. So it's okay to have failures, but then you could also have like training wheels to mitigate those failures. And an e-collar is training wheels. A long line plus a slip lead is a training wheel. It gives you control, but it also gives dog freedom.
This is extremely helpful, Andrew. I know I've said that like 30 times already.
No,
So for my last question, this is a quick one, which is like realistically, how many dogs on the pack walk do you think would be a sustainable business?
Well,
yeah, like if it's a pack walk and then doing some maybe 1 to 2 training sessions per day with the new onboarding dog, for example.
So I want to the pack walks. I guess I'm known for the pack walks, and I post about the pack walks. But the real benefit I see of the pack walks is if you start the day with exercise, dogs' behavior, you said this even earlier, dogs' behavior throughout the day is better. It decreases cortisol, the stress hormone. It decreases anxiety. It improves cooperation. It what I call it deposits into the the bank account of your relationship with the dog. You give to the dog. You're like, hey, I'm fulfilling your basic needs. And throughout the day, we might work on obedience. We might go on a field trip. You might take it to the skate park with you. And now there, the dog has to behave much more compliantly and it's going to have less freedom, right? But you say to the dog, like, dude, we just did all this fun stuff, man. Chill out and lay down for 30 minutes while I'm doing something. And what will happen over time is that's a relationship, Sheldon. You actually, I think what's cool about dog training teaches you truly a relationship is give and take. So I give first. I give a lot first. I wake up early. We go in nature. I fulfill your needs. I make sure you're taken care of. And then I say, hey, this is going to be good for you, but it might not be as fun in the moment for you. Let's go do something that benefits you and your owner. It might be a little boring, but remember, you already are fulfilled. So you can't blast off like a maniac here. You could make a mistake, but you can't blast off like a maniac because you're already fulfilled. So for me, it's a credit debit system, and the pack walk is a way to really, really kind of deposit into that bank account of the relationship with the dog. And like you might have seen, we were on the local news. We go to nursing homes with some of the dogs. Well, before that, we always go for a pack walk. The reason being is, hey, like I know this is going to be an interesting environment for you. I know you're capable of this. I know you have the temperament, but I also want to make sure that you're in a much more calm state of mind. So I exercise you, I take care of you. And then here, remember, these are older folks. Like this is the conversation that we're having, not in human words, but through the leash and the commands. I say, hey, chill out a little bit here.
Well, Andrew, you didn't answer my question though. Like realistically, like how many dogs on the pack walk per day, like to have a successful business?
Well,
Like
think about the question in and of itself. How can I give you a number? I don't know how much you charge. I don't know what your rent is. I don't know what your goal is. I mean, that's an impossible question to answer.
That's fair. I understand that without getting into those details, it's tough.
Sheldon, I'll flip it on you. How much
Yeah,
do you want to make per day?
I think that I don't know if I want to like share this on the whole internet. Like we can talk about this in some other time if that's okay. But I have a number in mind, and I think I have like a number
Well, let's
of
say
dogs that
Sheldon. Let's say 500 a day is good for you.
okay.
Well, let's say $500 a day, and I work 300 days a year, 65 days off, 2 months off. Well, okay, if I need to get to $500 a day, I could have 10 dogs making $50 a day. I can have 8 dogs paying $75 a day, or I could have 5 dogs paying $100 a day. Right? We have to back in from the number that you want to make, and that takes into account your overhead, your expenses, how much your time's worth, all that stuff. That's business mechanics. But I can't give you a number of like this is how much this is how many dogs. It all starts with where do you want to price yourself? What do you want to earn per day? Now, if you want to make $1,000 per day, well, maybe you need 10 dogs at 100, 20 dogs at 50. You see where I'm going with it?
Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. It just seems like for now I need to just focus on integrating one dog at a time, and eventually I think I'll find it organically. Like, what's the not like the max number of dogs I want to have on a pack walk, but what's my comfort zone, right? 20
Yeah.
dogs sounds crazy. 10 sounds crazy to me at this point. Like 5 sounds like, I'm so new to this that I just have no idea what I'm going to be able to handle. But this is stuff that we can work through. And I will definitely be working through on my own over here too. So it's exciting. It's exciting, and I'm optimistic.
Yeah, I would say the number of dogs is tied into your skill set, right? So like how good you are at training and managing the pack will be the telltale sign of how many dogs you can handle. But from what I'm hearing, like you started in August, you got Toma, you've been, dude, just invest in, you're so privileged that you have a run rate, to be able to do this for 12, 24 months without having to worry about money. That doesn't mean you can't make money. Gain experience, learn, enjoy it. There's this great Steve Jobs quote from his speech at Stanford. It's, when he got fired from Apple, he talked about how the heaviness of being an expert was replaced with the lightness of being a beginner again, being able to ask questions, being able to not know things. Well, here you are, this crypto cybersecurity expert, where you had everyone came to Sheldon for all the answers, being replaced with, man, I'm a student now. This is so much fun. I love my dog. I want to help people. Dude, enjoy the student phase. You have this blessing that a lot of people don't have, is the financial security. You don't need a rush at all. So invest in TWC, invest in your education, reach out to people, learn, ask questions. And your questions in 1 month, in 3 months, in 6 months, in 12 months will change, right? Because as you go through, like I picture this tunnel, more lights will be illuminated the farther you go. And as more lights are illuminated, you'll have different questions. So I would enjoy the process. I think you're off to a great start.
I certainly am enjoying the process, and it's really fun being new at stuff. I think that's why I love skateboarding too, because like I just totally suck at it, and like everything I do is learning. So I'm having a blast, and Andrew, I really appreciate your time today. We will follow up.
Thanks, Sheldon.
All right, have a good one.